Yowie wowie, Bray Wyatt is not alone in the Firefly Funhouse anymore. Of course, Alexa Bliss joined him last night. We did do some breaking videos as this all happened during Raw, but there was a lot of stuff throughout this entire Funhouse segment that you might have missed, so we're going to quickly cover a lot of that in this video. Including Alexa's outfit. Of course, the outfit she wore on the Funhouse, we've seen it before. It's this Freddy Krueger-like inspired attire, and it's really cool. I love the fact it actually suits the Funhouse as well. The red and the black obviously match Funhouse Bray. So there's some thought been put in there. And of course, that Freddy Krueger reference, of course, horror related, it's perfect. This wasn't the first time we'd seen Alexa in the night. She'd been in the ring with the whole Bray and Fiend and Retribution thing. But we saw her on the Titantron when she actually said this.
Let me in.
And you could almost say that the words coming out of her mouth was not Alexa. The voice obviously was not Alexa. It was that voice of Bray Wyatt. Yes, it sounds like Mercy the Buzzard, because if you didn't know, I believe Bray actually uses his voice for the Mercy the Buzzard voice, so that's why it sounds very similar. But yeah, it's another great indication that Alexa has joined the Funhouse and let him in, and again, is the Fiend. So now we've kind of got two Fiends running around, one of them being Bray Wyatt, the other Alexa Bliss. This staff has got a lot of people excited. We did mention it last night on a video. At the time, again, it was a breaking news video. I had no idea what this was. Instantly, the minute I put that video out, everyone then contacted me saying, "See, it's the staff that Bray Wyatt used to put a spell on Randy Orton." But we actually know exactly what this is. Randy Orton himself told us he used this to drive it into the heart and soul of Sister Abigail when she was obviously dead and buried. The ashes were laying to rest. Now, he called it a crucifix that was a weapon of the apocalypse, seemingly referencing that it did belong to Abigail. Now, if Bray then used this to cast a spell, isn't that iconic that we now know that Abby is a witch? It kind of starts all coming back together. And again, you get one little clue and you can start to piece things together to make the puzzle more complete. I really like this, and I think the fact that he is obviously reintroducing what we think is Abigail's staff, Abigail's wand, so to speak, means that obviously this is a memory. He remembered who it is, because obviously he never forgets. And obviously we know Bray's just gone to Raw, which is the home of one Randy Orton. And I don't think there's many of us that are not expecting to see the Fiend attack Orton. I think the majority of people would say that Fiend versus Orton is a dream match. It needs to happen. We know Orton is facing Drew McIntyre at Hell in a Cell for the WWE Championship. And I genuinely would not be surprised if during or after the match we see the Fiend attack the Viper. I just think it's poetic. Think about what happened at the last pay-per-view with Orton. All his, wrongdoings came back to haunt him. Well, this one, maybe the biggest wrongdoing of all, the Fiend comes to attack him as well. Maybe. We also saw the Black Sheep mask that belonged to Braun Strowman. Of course, the Black Sheep of the Wyatt family. Now, this feud obviously seems like it's done, but it really wasn't ever finished. Bray and Strowman never really resolved their differences because of Roman Reigns' interference. The fact that both Braun and Bray are on Raw definitely means that this feud could potentially still be ongoing. Maybe not straight away, maybe in a few weeks or months' time. But this was Bray moving house from SmackDown to Raw. He didn't have to bring it with him. The fact he did, obviously it's a memory and it's one he wants to keep close. Probably because the feud is not done yet. Maybe there is something else to come with Bray and Strowman. Maybe he requires Strowman's help against the factions of Raw, such as Retribution. Of course, during Raw, we saw at the start Retribution basically invading the ring again. They surrounded the Fiend. The Fiend just disappeared. The Fiend then later took them all out. But in the future, he may need the Black Sheep one more time. So maybe there's a use for Strowman. Maybe there's all these things. But it's definitely possible. I don't think it'll be something that's done straight away. But the fact he brought the mask with him, the fact we had the whole altercation with Retribution, that literally was seen on Twitter 24 hours before as well, by the way. Just absolutely genius booking by WWE. Something else fun in the Funhouse last night was at the bottom left of your screen. Of course, I'm talking about the Fiend on the Scene doll. Of course, this is WWE's now equivalent to Elf on a Shelf. He actually appeared in multiple different bits of the Funhouse last night, and it's interesting why they're doing that. Obviously, the Elf on the Shelf is meant to get up to mischievous behaviour. This is the Fiend on the Scene. So I think in the coming weeks, we can probably see the Fiend on the Scene in different positions in the Funhouse. Maybe we got to keep looking out for it. It's just a small little Easter egg, but it's fun. It's fun to sort of think what they could do next. And whilst we're on this picture, of course, you can clearly see that Huskus the Pig Boy's left leg is actually ripped. It looks ripped anyway. I don't know if it is intentionally ripped. Maybe it's part of the moving process and the puppet got ripped. Who knows? Obviously, it didn't actually move anywhere. I mean, it could just be the position of the leg. It could be part of that, but it definitely does look like the stuffing is coming out around his foot. I don't know what that actually is symbolic of, but it could potentially mean something, so it's worth taking note of. And now we come to Ramblin Rabbit. Of course, this is what you've watched the video for, I know. We actually found out last night he has a wife and children. It wasn't specified how many children he had, but he has got at least one child. You can see the child has braces, nice little hat on. The wife has a nice little bow to identify her as well. But I do find it ironic. We find out that Ramblin Rabbit has a wife when Bray Wyatt introduces a female Alexa Bliss to the Firefly Funhouse. Was that a subliminal message that Alexa is Bray's wife? Obviously, we know that's not real in real life, but it's possible that in kayfabe that they are married as such. Could be. Now, Bray also actually said to Ramblin Rabbit how the past was in their minds, which I thought was cool because obviously that relates to the Fiend, the fact he never forgets the past, and of course the future is in their hands. Now, I thought that was interesting because we know normally Bray or the Fiend has the hurt and heal gloves in their hands, and we've always said that this was some kind of like destiny, fate, and things like that. So is the future able to be shaped by the hurt and heal gloves and whatever power that they give to Bray or the Fiend? I just think that was a really cool statement. And you know Bray Wyatt, everything in the Firefly Funhouse means something. So the fact that they made a point about that statement, it's definitely something we've got to take note of. Alexa actually did tweet out last night in response to fiending for followers. Of course, he posted a tweet with 2 eye emojis. You can see the picture of Alexa joining the Funhouse and a picture of Bray with the doll in the past. And of course, Alexa just responded with the eye emojis as if to say, maybe watch this. And yeah, I love the eye emojis. So Alexa, you're going after my own heart there, love. But seriously, I absolutely thought this was fun because we have compared Alexa to the doll before. And when you look at the doll, the first thing that strikes you is the fact that it does have a female Fiend's mask. You can see the pink around the mask and stuff now. Whether Alexa adorns this in face paint or in mask form, I think it's a good indication that maybe Alexa is going to get some kind of Fiend-like mask for herself. The fact she's now in the Funhouse, happy, joyous, just like Bray Wyatt, it indicates that is the case. Bray Wyatt is happy, he's kind, he's calm. Whatever's happened to Bray to split his personality, this side of him is in the Funhouse. That side of Alexa is now in the Funhouse. The fact we hear her talk like the Fiend and talk like Bray, the fact that she's now there indicates that whatever she is a Fiend. Whether she stays without the face paint, without the mask, we just don't know. But maybe we'll find out hopefully soon. But fast forward to Raw talk that took place obviously just following Monday Night Raw along with Nikki Cross. She had this to say.
I want to say this to Alexa, if you're listening. Let me in.
Of course, the iconic catchphrase of Bray and The Fiend and Alexa now. So obviously she's not finished with this story. She went on to say how Alexa's one of her best friends, her tag team partner, and she wasn't just going to let her go there. So Nikki Cross is definitely not out of this story yet. Again, she was drafted to Raw, so that story will probably continue in the coming weeks. I find it interesting that she used that saying though, let me in. Just something to remember. But of course, I thought this would be a fun little video for literally going over everything, because last night's Funhouse was stacked with Easter eggs you may have missed. If you are new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. Of course, like the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below, and follow me on Twitter at CWrestlingUK. I'll see you next time. Peace!